Okay, hey everyone. I thought I'd just do an Illustrator tutorial to sort of get you guys up to date on, the tool as such, because I didn't want you guys to, work on other tutorials and, waste a lot of time because we don't have a lot of that to spare. So, we shall start off with this tutorial of the bus, and I guess that should sort of, show you how these illustrations are done so that you can replicate it on the others. Um, I might even make one on how to make a building, but I guess it's very similar to what this is. So I'll just show you how to do that. So once you open up Illustrator, you should probably be shown this screen if you have the 2017 version of Illustrator. If you don't get this, all you have to do is go to File, Open, and you should try to open the file which you have downloaded, the file that is called tutorial.ai. So just double click on it and that should open up. Yeah, and you should see a bus over here. Yeah, okay, cool. So Illustrator is all about the pen tool, right? Like it's mainly about this tool called the pen tool that you should see over here. You can open it by clicking on the letter P. And even though that you can create your own shapes just like how you can on Photoshop, we won't really be creating custom shapes over here. We'll usually be using the given shapes on Illustrator. So that is the pre-baked shapes. So right below the text tool you should see this. By the way, if you don't see this and if you have this, just click on the top arrow on the toolbar and you should get this screen which you see on mine. Or if you don't see any of these bars on the side, there's this option on the top that lets you on the top over here. So all you have to do is click on Essentials or Reset New Workspace or Reset Essentials. So you'll get it back to so let me just show you that. So when you click on Reset Essentials, it'll clear up everything and you should get this screen, right? So now the main things that you want to open on this bar are your Layers panel and your Navigator panel, and another panel called your Pathfinder. Okay, so I'll tell you how to open up all three. So first go to Window. Everything that you want can be found over here. So here you need to click on Layers. So once you click on that, take it and drag it to the bottom part over there. So you have it open. Cool. So now you have Layers open. Now let's just open up Navigator. So take that too and dock it over there. So now that you've docked your Navigator, you can navigate around your screen really easily within this. And the third thing that we'll open is called the Pathfinder. So that is over here within Windows. So all these three things are within Windows, right? So you can dock it over there. So now you have your Pathfinder, you have your Navigator, and you have your Layers, right? So you have all three open up over here. Libraries isn't required, so you can just click on the top bar and yeah, you can just close it over there on the top. Yeah, so now you have your Pathfinder, your Navigator, and your Layers open up on the side. So to zoom in and out, you can either use your Navigator or you can hold down on Control Alt and use your scroll bar, your mouse scroll bar, to zoom in and out. So hold down on Control Alt and zoom in and out. Yeah. So let me just show you how to get started with something like this. Okay. So on Illustrator, you should see a tool called the rectangle tool. It's nothing but this box over here, right below your text tool, right next to your paintbrush tool. So if you want to see the various shapes that you can get on Illustrator, you just right click on it. So you'll have the rectangle tool, the rounded rectangle tool, ellipse, polygon, star, flare. So we'll be working with the rectangle tool and the ellipse tool, and if you want, you can work with the rounded rectangle tool, whatever you find easier. So it's better to start off with the rectangle. So click on the rectangle tool. Okay, zoom out a little and then start on the side. So first we'll just create the square over here. So this is a square, right? The bus is the front of the bus is a square. So how do we create something like that? So first you click, hold down shift and then drag. So click and drag by holding down shift to make sure that you maintain ratio over here. So what do I mean by that? So if I click and drag, and if you're not holding down shift, you'll get this, like you can move it around and create any shape. But since you want it to be a perfect square, hold down shift. Yeah, And then you should get that pink line that stretches across that says that it's a perfect square. So once you do that, you should probably end up with something like this. So over here you can click on those tiny dots and click and drag to sort of create a rounded shape over there. So this is how you create a rounded square on Illustrator. So you just click on those lines. So how do you do that? First you click on your shape, and then you make sure that you should see those tiny circles over there. You just click on them and drag, and you can even see the radius of how much it's you're dragging it to. So let's drag it to around 16 px. Yeah. Okay. So now once we're done with that, we need to make sure that our outline or our stroke, the stroke of the path, is the same as this one. So if you click on this shape and you need to double click on it, you just single click will select the entire shape. This is called a group, and I'll show you how to create it eventually. So double click on it, double click once more, keep double clicking until you get into the rays. So this is all grouped, right? So if you look at this, it has a stroke of around 2 point. So you can access the stroke over here. So it's 2 pt or nothing but 2 points. Okay. So you just click on your shape over here. So you see that's 1 point, right? You just change that to 2 points and you should get this. So now it's a stroke which is very similar to this. Okay. So now I click on my shape and I want the same color inside, right? So one thing that I can do is I can double click on it, double click again, double click again, and you get this. So over here you choose the color, which is the hex code. So what I did is I went down there, this is my fill. So I double click on my fill and I get my hex code. Yeah, so this is the color code of what I've used for the shape. So I can copy it, Control C, and then click outside. Click on this, click on my fill again, paste, and that fills up with that shape. Yeah. If I want to do the same thing, but I don't want to go through that entire process, I just select my shape first. I select my shape or my rectangle which I've created. I hit on the letter I, which opens up your eyedropper tool, or you can just click on your eyedropper tool over here. So once you do that, you need to select the color of the shape that you want. So you just select the color of the shape. Okay. By the way, Control Z is undo, Control Shift Z is redo, Control Z undo, Control Shift Z redo. Okay. Cool. So now that we've got this, we need to get that extra bit which is standing out over there to make it look like it's a 3D shape. So how do we do that? So first you need to click on your shape, Control C to copy, yeah, Control Shift V to paste in the same place. So if you do Control V, it will randomly place it that way. You need to hold Control Shift V to paste it in the same place. And once you do that, now you have two layers. You may not see it because it's placed on top. So you hold down Shift to make sure that it doesn't move anywhere extra, like it will only move in angles if you hold down Shift. If you leave Shift, you can move it anywhere. So make sure you hold down Shift and then move it to the side a little bit. Okay. But if you look at it, this shape is now on top of this shape. How do I know? Okay, let me just change the color of the top shape. So I select that, I hit on the letter I, and I select the color. So see, I've changed the color, but this shape is now on top of this shape. So how do I change that? So first I select this, and then you look down at your layers panel over here, right? So in your layers panel, you have your orange rectangle, which is on top of the purple rectangle. So one thing that I need to do now is I need to move my orange rectangle below my purple rectangle to make sure that it looks something like this, right? So I first click on my orange rectangle, click and drag so that it brings it down. Yeah. So let me just show you what I did. So I have my orange rectangle, I just click and drag below. So that moved down over here in my main screen. Yeah. So now I move this a little bit to the right. And if you want to move it perfectly, you can use your arrow keys too. I'm now using my right arrow key. I can use my left arrow key and make it a little perfect. Okay, close to what you see over there. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now I have something similar. Okay. Fine. So now that we have this, let's create the window pane over there, right? So to create that, I don't really want to redo the entire thing. So what I can do is I can click on my shape, control copy, control shift V to paste in the same place. And now I'll just sit and resize this, okay? So if I normally resize this, it'll move that way. How do I resize it? By keeping ratio, I hold down shift. But if I hold down shift, it's again creating a square, right? So what if I wanna, so now it's resizing it based on this point. So with respect to that point, it is resizing it. How do I resize it with respect to the center? So I hold down Alt and Shift at the same time and then resize it. So you see now it's resizing with respect to the center. So now I'll get that. So you see, hold down Alt, Shift and then resize. So I should get this. Okay, let's reduce it a little more. Okay, fine, that looks good. And then now I select my shape and I just move it up a little. How do I do that? I just hold this point down here and move it up. Okay, so I should get this. Cool. So now I select this and then I click on the letter I again to select the color and I select that. Fine. So now I have this. Okay, so now let's create this bottom part of it. So how do I do that? Okay, so let's just extend this a little more to the bottom. Yeah. So now how do I do that? So first select the shape. I control copy, control shift V, and then I hold down shift and then move it up. So I select my shape, hold down shift and then move it up. Yeah, or I can start moving it and then hold down shift 2, whatever works. So now I move it up a little and you see I'm getting something similar, right? But now my shape is moved on the top and it's covered the top part of it, right? So you see it's covering the shape at the bottom. So how do I fix that? So I select the bottom shape. So the shape which is at the bottom, I select it. I control copy and then I control shift V to paste it on the top. So control C is copy, right? So control C, control shift V to paste on top. So now I have three shapes. So if you see, I have this shape on top, which is nothing but the same shape. And then I have this shape at the bottom. So look at your layers panel. So you can hide or unhide your layers by doing that, right? So now I have this shape on top. Yeah. So now I need to cut out this top part, right? Like right now I just want this bottom part to be visible, right? Okay. So let me just bring this to the front. Look at my layers panel. So I'm just moving this to the front. Okay, so to make it easier, I have three layers. Let me just change this one's color. Okay, so now I have three layers. One is the bottommost, the one which is on the top, and the topmost layer. So now I want to bring my, so let's number this as 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so let me bring layer 2 on top of 3. Okay, let me bring layer 2 on top of 3. So now that's on top. And we just want this part at the bottom. We just want this tiny bit at the bottom. So how do we do that? So what I do is I select my top layer. This is now 2. Remember, this is layer 2. And then I select my layer 3. And then you click on your pathfinder. Yeah, then you click on your pathfinder. And you have multiple options over here. You have unite, you have minus front, you have intersect. So if I click on minus front, you see what happened? Let me just repeat that for you. Okay, so I started off with this. I just have one layer. I copy, I pasted on top. I moved it up a little. Okay, I selected my bottom layer. I copied by clicking Control C and Control Shift V by pasting it at the bottom. And then I moved my layer which is at the bottom to the top. So I dragged it on the top. And now I selected that layer and then I selected my second layer. There's a third layer at the back which we don't select, or you can just select it this way in your layer panel. You select two of them and then you click minus front. So what you're doing is this layer is on the front right now, right? So you're minusing out that part from the bottom layer. So from your bottom layer, you're minusing out what is on top of it or what is in front. So when I do that, I just get this part, right? So now this is what is separated out and I minus the front. So now I change this color to purple because that's how it is over here. Yeah. So now I have this, and now I need to create that tiny bit of pink which is on the top. So how do I do that? I can control C, control V, and then just move this to the top that way. And remember, now I need to get only that part, right? So I select my bottom layer, I copy and I paste it on top. Yeah. So now this layer is on top. I select the bottom layer and then I minus front again. So I'm minusing what's in the front. So now I get only this much. Yeah. So now I just select the pink color and that's changed to pink. Okay. So now we have this much done. Awesome. So let's get this part of it done. So that includes the lights and everything else, right? So first let's just create and go to the rectangle tool, make sure that it's aligned with that, and click and drag to create a rectangle over there. Okay, so now we should have that. Okay, so what you see is that's a normal rectangle. I've rounded it a little by selecting those points. Select the circles and create a rounded rectangle. But before you do that, I want you to select so there are two types of selections on top. One is your selection tool, which is the letter V. Click on the letter V and you can select that. And then there's your direct selection tool, which is the letter A. So in Illustrator, you deal with paths. So this is a path, this is a path, this is a path, everything is a path over here. And all these paths in your layers panel exist within a layer. So this is your layer. Within your layer, you have multiple paths. Okay. So now suppose I select this path over here. I need to click on the letter A to make sure that if I want to select a path, right? And if I want to play with the path, like if I want to play with this one point and move it around, then I need to use my direct selection tool. If I click on my selection tool, I can just move it around. So I select my direct selection tool, I select that point and I move it in a little. And I do the same on this side. I move it in a little. How do I do that? I select my point, move it in a little. I click on my point, make sure it's selected and then move it in. Like you can click and drag too. So yeah, you should get something like this. Now I round it. Yeah. So now I round it. So once I'm on top. Okay. So this is what I have right now. And if you look at it, we are trying to give it a sense of depth. Like it's fake. We are trying to make it look 3D over here. Like it's all inside. So over here, we're trying to give this some fake depth. And this should have come on the side over here, but I put it at the bottom. So just like how it is over here, this needs to come over here. Okay, so we're now trying to give it fake depth by making it look 3D. How do we do that? So we copy the shape, Control C, Control Shift V to paste in the same place. I move it a little by holding down Shift. So we need only this part now. How do we do that? So let's just change this one's color first. Okay, I've changed that. And you already seem to be getting what you want, but over here, if you look at this, you've just copied and pasted the shape on top, but we only want this part. So I select the layer at the bottom, I copy, Control C, I Control Shift V, paste it on top. But now you want this part, but this part's going to get cut out, right? Like if you minus the front. So let's just undo that. Okay, so let's just undo that. So let's select that shape, copy, paste, select that much, select the shape at the bottom, Control C, Control V, so that now when I select the top shape and the bottom shape, like look at your layers panel, and I click on minus front, I only get this part, right? And now I just align it over there. You can zoom in and align it, and you're done. Cool. So you got that part. So I select this, I change this one's color to orange, and boom, it's a little too big, but that can be made small. Okay, cool. So now we've got that much sorted. So now let's do the inner part over here and then come to the lights. Okay, so how do we do that? So we start off with the same rectangle tool. We create this rectangle inside, yeah, and then let's just move it to the center, yeah. So that's not the center, this is the center. You should get that pink line in between. So that's the center. But again, remember the same way we selected our path first, clicked on the letter A, selected your point, and then moved it in. So make sure it's parallel to this line, right? So make sure it's parallel. So I move it in a little, maybe a little more. Okay, now it's parallel. I move this in a little more, make sure it's parallel. By the way, so this one doesn't have to be rounded. So let that be the way it is. Maybe, like make it a little bigger because that looks too small. So, you can just hold down Alt so that it happens on both sides. Yeah. So now we have that. Okay, looking similar. Cool. So now let's give it a bit of depth over here. So since this one is standing out, right? This one is standing out from this, but even though it's inside. So what we do is we copy, we paste. Yeah. And then we select the shape at the bottom, Control C, Control Shift V, and now we want only that part, right? So we select this and the layer at the bottom, and then we minus front, so you get that layer. And then now you select the color and change it. Perfect. So we now got this. Now let's create those tiny bits in between. So here I have a trick. So we can just select the shape, copy and paste it, reduce this one's size a little, yeah, and then move this up a little. Okay, so now you got that. So now you select a point and then you try to make it parallel. Yeah, so now you make that parallel, and then now you make this side parallel. So now you have this, and you can select this and round it up. Okay, so you have something similar now. You select that, copy the color, you're done. Okay, and now let's just copy the same shape, paste it down, drag it down, and hold down Alt, and okay, that's reducing the shape entirely. Oh yeah, okay, so you see that. So now I'm at that. Okay, so now we've created that. The bottom one is nothing but the same thing copied again. So let's select that, copy, paste, Control C, Control Shift V to copy paste, remember. Make this a little bigger, then hold down Alt so that it transforms from the center, and extend this a little. Yeah, so now we get something like that, right? Okay. Okay, so over here it's not that deep, so that's why you have a lot of space happening over here. So you can do that over here. So it's, since this one's a little too curved, so you see that the curve over here is a little, the bend over here is a little too less compared to the curve over here, so it's a little too much. So do make sure that it's not that much, right? So now that you've got that, okay, so now let's create all the circles. So there's an oval over here and two circles over there. So let's make that. So first we select our ellipse tool and then click and drag. If you hold down shift, it creates a circle. If you don't hold down shift, it creates an oval. So once you have that, you can copy, Control C, Control Shift V, and then you click and drag, and you should already get that. And here you don't need to minus anything because you're just pasting it on top. So if you just select the bottom layer and change the color, you're done. You have something that's already looking good enough. You don't need to change that, right? So that's good. So now just let's create the lights. So first you create a circle. First you circle, and then you need to minus that much, right? So you copy, Control Shift V, click and drag. Okay, and now I'll copy this shape, Control Copy, Control Shift V. Select the one layer that's at the bottom. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I just did something that you've not seen before. So there are two types of you can either remove the front by minus the front by clicking on minus front, and this part gets removed because you have removed the front part of it, right? So what did I do over here? I first created a circle. I copied a shape on top. I moved it by a little more maybe, and I wanted this part to be cut out, right? So what did I do? I copied this, I copied and pasted on top, and then I selected the layer at the bottom, and then usually what I do is I do a minus front, right? Like I select both the shapes, and if it's hard to select, go down to your layers and just click on these points. Okay, so I've selected two of them, and if I clicked on minus front, you see that that part got cut out. How do I get this part to cut out? You do an intersect. So if you intersect, the part which intersects with both shapes, which is this part, gets removed. So when I click on intersect, you see that I got this shape. Wait, let me just show you. So this is the part which intersects, right? So I got this part out. This part still looks the same, so what I can do is I can change this one's color. Yeah. So now that I have that, I select this and the layer at the bottom, by the way. So now it's just these two layers. So I select this and the layer at the bottom, copy, V, Control V, Control copy is to copy, Control C is to copy, Control V is to paste. And then you can, reduce this one's size a little more and then drag it there. Okay, so remember that, you just make sure that the space is proper so that, you have a lot of space to work with over there. And this part needs to be duplicated over here. You need the same thing over here, right? So what you can do is select all your four shapes, right click and group. So now this entire thing works as one group. Okay, so you copy, Control Shift V, drag it here, and okay, so that's okay. So you need to create it from that its perspective. Okay, so I've used the same shape for the slides, right? Okay, let's not make it the same. Let me show you what I just did. So if I select that, since I grouped it, right, like I need the smaller one here, so that can't work that way. So I copy paste that. Yeah, so now I get that. By the way, so when you created a group, look at your shapes over here in your layers. It grouped all four. If you want to move it out of the group, you just hold down Shift, select all of them, and just drag them out. And now it's out again. So your shapes are all separate. So now that I've got that, I need to copy, select both shapes, copy, paste, move my shapes that way, and I've got something there. Yeah, awesome. So we're pretty close to that over there. Now we need to create this bottom tiny rectangle. How do we do that? We right click on this, select the rectangle tool, then do that, drag it up a little more so that it aligns over there, and then you just change this one's color. Yeah, so now we have that, and finally let's create this top display that they have where they show the bus number and everything else. So you first create a square, then round it out. I'll go a little bit faster here, by the way. So now we don't want the top parts to be rounded. You want only the bottom parts to be rounded. So what you do is you select your shape using the normal selection tool. Select your shape, hold on the letter A, select your bottom 2 points only, the only points which you want to round, and then you select your curved, those two circles, and then you click and curve. So you see the top part doesn't get curved, only the bottom points which you selected got curved, right? So select that point, then curve. Okay, cool. So now we want this part to be cut out over here. So let's select that, copy, paste, and then we need to minus front, right? So we minus front and we get that. And now let's create this inner square where we get that part of it. So what I do is I copy, or actually I'll create a new rectangle. So I create a new rectangle over there and hold on the letter A and do that. Okay, so I've got that. Copy, paste, and now I have this part. I select the back layer, copy, paste. Now I need to intersect this, right? So I select my top layer and the one at the bottom, and I hit on intersect, and this is the part which is the intersection of the two. And then I have my bottom layer. So this one I change to white. Actually, don't click outside. Just click on your fill. Yeah, click on your fill, change it to white. By the way, this doesn't look like this. That's because I've selected only web colors. This is the difference between RGB and CMYK, right? So I've selected only web colors, and then I move it to top, and okay. So I have that done, and this is nothing but two simple ellipses. So what I do is I right click, create a rounded rectangle tool. I click and I drag, so I already get a rounded rectangle. Yeah, I select my purple and I do the same on I copy it and then I just rotate it. How do I rotate it? I hover until I get that rotate icon, then I hold down shift and rotate, and then I just extend it a little and round it out again. Yeah, so I have that, and then I do the same on the other side. Copy, paste, and then I have that on top. Yeah, so we have the same bus shape over here. I wanted to create the rest of the bus and the wheels, and once you're done with a particular group, right, like consider this entire thing a group, so you right click and you group it. So now when okay, I think I have some other complex shapes over here. Okay, so let me just try that again. Okay, a group. So if you look at this entire thing is one group. So if I have to move my wheels below a particular group, right, like, so look at this. So this entire thing is a group and my wheels are separate groups. So this one, if you look at this over here, my wheels have been placed below my above group. So if this is my bus group, these are my wheels and it's placed below. So that's how the hierarchy exists. So if you have any doubts, send a message on WhatsApp or Slack, and not on Slack, on WhatsApp, or contact me, and I'll get back to you on that. Cool. So I wanted to create the rest of the bus and show me what you make. So send in everything on the group over there, and we'll be able to discuss on it. Okay. Cool guys, so this is a very basic tutorial, and actually it's a little advanced to tell you, but I want to see how the shapes are and if you are able to work on these so that the other illustrations can be made in a very similar way. Okay, thanks guys. I shall probably be making another video for building, so I'll see you all on the next one. Bye bye.